Boom! What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the ER crew, the early regulars that's on the check-in from the beginning. Spook Round 4Q, you are number one again this week. B-Ball Jonesins, you are not number one. You have failed by literally seconds. So let's do, that makes me laugh because I see how you were very close. PSA. So let's get it going. Let's see. This looks a little different than what you normally. Well, first let me do the PSA because Spook Realm added some extra stuff to him, and I'm gonna go first with one. Get the book. The link is in the description below. My brother's name is Kenny. The True Origin Story of BDP. Get the book. Y'all know the drill. If you're new to the channel, the link is in the description below. Check out the description of the book. I'm not going to give too many details today. We're going to keep it moving. 2, please hit the like button. I say it all the time. Tracy reminds us all the time. And yet hundreds of people who watch the channel every week don't hit the like button. So I'm going to say it again. Today, hit the like button. It helps the algorithm, helps us along on the channel so we can get a little bit bigger. Rule number 3, last but not least, big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. Spook Realm says, and a day late and $1 short, but happy birthday to the Blast Master, yes, who turned 61. And even at that time, I'll say a rhyme, a brand new style, ruthless and wild. He said 50 years down the line, we could start this, but we'll be the old school artists. Yes, yesterday, the 20th of August, was the birthday of the Blast Master. Okay, I made this a little bit bigger. Let me make it a little bit more bigger so I can see what I can see right off the jump. Abel Valdez, what up? Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. It is much appreciated, believe me. And it's a Friday in August. Summer is winding down. Thank you guys, everybody who's here live. I appreciate you guys being here on a Friday night. You could be out in whatever version of the tunnel nightclub that you in your city. But we're here, and I'm glad we're here, and I'm glad the regulars are here, and everybody's safe. All right, let me see who's in the building real quick. Kenneth Smith, what up? Gregory Nettis, what up? Art of Dialogue, whose show has blown up tremendously, by the way, since he first started. Shout out to him. Just had a video with former bad boy Danny Boy, who's been on there a bunch of times, showing the 1996 BMW car Tupac passed away. Wow, seeing the inside of the car was wild. Yeah, and it's very timely considering the trial that's going on right now with Keefe D. I haven't seen any new revelations. Everything that I'm seeing in the trial, including the prosecution's argument, is basically everything that he said on Vlad. It's Vlad TV brought to a trial. So I haven't seen anything from what I've seen that is any revelation. It's just that it's being documented now officially in court records. So this being documented now in courts means this is like the official story. And it basically started, a series of events between Suge and Puffy. But the basic gist of this particular thing had to do with Puffy putting out a bounty on Death Row Chains. Anybody who can bring back a death row chain, allegedly, he would give X amount of dollars, I believe 15 grand, which caused some guys in LA to beat up and rob somebody for one of these death row chains, which in turn, when Pac and them saw the person with that was part of this robbery at the Mike Tyson fight, that caused them to jump him, which caused the retaliation, which ended Pac's life. And they're alleging that also in that mix, Puff had tried to put a little money out to make sure that that happened. So all that remains to be seen. But yeah, um, interesting trial, but nothing so far to me is giving me any kind of like, wow, I can't believe it. Um, Abel Valdez, peace, Kenny. Is this too personal? You don't have to answer, but do you have a driver's license? No. Or driven a car in your life? No. Because you lived in New York City all your life? Yeah, I've never driven a car in my life. I think me and Red Alert are two. And I think Aretha Franklin. Is there any Fushnicken stories? Not really. No, we was on tour with Fushnickens. Actually, they were on tour with us because they were brand new. Back in 92, 93, when they first came out, both groups were signed to Jive. But no, I mean, I just used to see them out and about, but I don't really know them. Like, just, hey, what's up? Never even had a conversation with any of them. They just opened up for BDP. That's basically it. This is a deep conversation. This will cause me to be late. Gregory Ness says, "What is the best invention ever?" I say TV, refrigerator, and sandals or sneakers. Word up, son. Well, I saw a study where they broke down the most important inventions ever, and the wheel was way up there, which enabled all kind of people to transport all kind of things long distances. But they said the number one invention of all time, according to most studies, surprisingly, is the printing press. The ability to make books in mass production. Because before the printing press, in order for there to be a book, somebody a professional scribe would have to sit down and write out each page by hand, which could take months or years just to make one book. And this book would be only available to the richest people in the world or the top scholars. Everyone else would have no information except word of mouth. And we know how that goes. But with the invention of the printing press, information, books were able to be made in mass quantities for cheap prices and be able to spread all over the established world. And so a lot of information got to a lot of people quicker than any time in history. And it advanced civilization. You got to imagine medicine, science, history, agriculture, all of these things in a book that could be sent out to be read by multiple people. So basically, the printing press they argued, changed everything the most in the world. I think the wheel is way up there. TV, radio, all that stuff is a child of the printing press. Sandals, sneakers, yeah, but there's many people who walked around barefoot for thousands of years. And the refrigerator, the refrigerator helped keep food for longer periods of time, but I would have that way down in the list. Rosmel, what up? You try to jump down a little bit. Tracy, hey Tracy, salute. Um, See you guys talking about crisscross. I liked Jump. I was too grown to bang crisscross in my whip. I was already an adult when they dropped Me Too, so I thought of them as a gimmick. But I thought it was dope though. And Jermaine Dupri discovered them in the mall. They were not rappers. Wrote the whole song and did the beat, and it became one of the biggest. It became a number one record in the country. A rap song being number one back in 1991 was extremely rare, and that album, I believe, sold like 5 million, 5 times platinum. Um, Rest in peace to, I think it's Mac Daddy, who passed away. Um, I was down with Crisscross. Brunswick, what up? Sydney Rhodes, what up? I'm so far behind. KP, I saw your bro on Talib Kweli's new podcast dropping a lot of knowledge. A 2-hour interview, but I caught most of it. I've only seen pieces of it. I didn't even know where he got the time to do that, but I guess I'll see it eventually. A lot of the stuff he talks about, I already have had. I've had those same conversations with him in real life, but um, I will check it out. Uh, Divine Existence. Peace, everybody. R.I.P. to Keith Keith of the Funky 4+1. Is that, oh, wow, is that, I didn't see that. Is that new? Did he just pass? It's been a minute since one of our hip hop family has passed. Funky 4+1 was the first rap group ever to appear on Saturday Night Live, which is gigantic. And they did it in 79, I believe. It's the Joint was a big, big, big record on Sugar Hill. Wow. Rest in peace to him. Condolences to his family. Imperial J the MC, what up? Oh, let's see. MK Ultra. What's going on? Jason Wall, what's up? Robert Trowell, what's up? Patrick Y, Northeast BX. Chilling in Smithfield, Virginia today. You far from home. What up? PBB NYC, what up? Hey Kenny, you ever hoop with Bronx playground legend Arnold Bernard? No, never heard of him. Uh, Mike Rocks, what up? The Real Chef Daddy, what up? See a lot of belated birthday shout outs to the Blast Master. Craig Gruson, what up? Philly Sheed, I haven't seen you in a minute. Crusher Blackwell. Yeah, Spookworld. Chris said rap needed a teacher, so I became it. That's dope. Best chat on YouTube. Love y'all. Thank you, KP. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Benny Doyle. Yeah, someone on here keeps mentioning that a proffer only lasts a day, and indeed they are correct. Just like Keefy D had, I had no idea. Yeah, I believe this proffer is. I'm not sure. I'm legally, but they call it Queen for a Day, where you get one day when you're in trouble. You get one day to offer the government information about other crimes to see if they'll accept that to use on your behalf. So that you just start telling, I know this, I know this, I know this. And if they pick something that they like, they will use that. You can make a deal. But whatever you say in Queen for a Day or proffer, uh, wonder why they call it Queen for a day. But in this proffer can't be used against you. And in this proffer is when Keefe D uh, confessed to being in the car that with the members that allegedly ended Tupac. Poetic, Ken, did you see the new KRS-One interview with Mos Def? You mean Talib? Not all of it. Derek Mallory, Minneapolis. T. Dud says, thank you for this room and KP, really helping me get through a few life struggles. I truly thank you guys. Thank you for listening. And that's if we could, if this channel and us family on this channel, if we can help another family member get through a life struggle, that's why we're here, man. So we can talk, exchange ideas, and just have a place for like-minded people to come along and we just talk about whatever on here. Uh, that's dope. Benito, is Keefe D sitting in front of a judge with a public defender? How? Maybe he doesn't have any money. I don't know if that's true, but Kenneth Smith, Puff might get out just in time to get in trouble for this. I'm going to find it very hard for Puff to get in trouble for this hearsay. If he allegedly said, I'll give 15,000 or whatever the price was for anybody that snatches a death row chain, can you prove that? And did he give the 15,000? And then he allegedly offered $1 million for the heads of Pac and Suge, and he gave the money to somebody who never gave it to the people they were supposed to give it to, and that person is gone. So the only way you could believe this is Keefe D. I cannot see Puff. Unless there's a check from Puff to this guy, I guess his name was Von Zip, who was the middleman between Keefe D and Puff. I guess if there's a check to Von Zip that can be proven, and even that, you could just say Puff gave this guy a check. That's it, for something who knows what for. And he never gave it. He stole the money. I'd be very surprised if Puff gets in trouble for this. But what do I know? Sydney Rhodes, what up? Tracy says, I also love this family we have here. Definitely a high point in my week, spending this time with y'all. Thank you, Tracy. You're much appreciated. Tyba, that not driving because you live in NYC is a myth. Mad cars on the road. Main reason why I don't drive, but I can. I have a driver's license. Yeah, it's not. There are tons of cars. New York is legendary for traffic. But the fastest way, for those that's not from New York, the fastest way and the way that most people travel, especially when I was coming up as a youth, was through the train system. And for whatever reason, I did not get my license when I was young, and I was supposed to do it. And every year I say I'm going to do it, but I haven't done it yet. Um, all in all, that there's no excuse not to have a license, but I just answered the question. Do I have a license? No. And I got a ticket for not having a seatbelt in a passenger seat with no license. We did the best inventions a couple of years ago. We did. I don't even remember that. Crazy said music is the most important invention for me. I would say that's entertainment, but or a form of communication, but yeah, very important. That's how a lot of stories were told, through word of mouth and through songs. PBB, I might be leaning with you on this one. Air fryer, hands down, best invention. For me, air conditioning and air fryer are way up there. I'm just gonna read this last one. Spookworm says, "You are absolutely right that history says the printing press is the greatest of all inventions." You've actually said that a few times already. Okay. Antibiotics is way up there. Antibiotics, which was discovered by accident, penicillin, I believe. I'm not, no, not antibiotics, but penicillin saved millions of lives, millions, discovered by accident. But yeah, you could put medicine in there, but even medicine, none of these things would be widespread if it wasn't for the printing press. You would have a university, and if whoever didn't have access to come into this university couldn't even be a doctor. The ability to spread knowledge is still the top. Bruce Kennedy, what up? I'm not too far behind. PBB said SP 1200, not a bad invention. Okay, Pete, I agree. For me, uh, Chris Cross was 13 years old when they put a land on the map. Jump was 8 weeks at number one. First of all, 8 weeks for any song at number one is historic. For a rap song in 91 is beyond unbelievable. It's a gigantic record. And their look, too. Riding Dirty Face, what up? Haven't seen you in a while. I thought Tresh wrote it and said the verse it said in a verse that he was never paid. I never heard that Tresh wrote that. I heard that Jermaine Dupri wrote that. I could be wrong. That's the purpose of this show, to exchange information. Did Tresh really write Jump and got no? How did he even hook up with JD? Did he write Jump and didn't get credit for it? I've never heard that. T Dyson, what up? DJ Joey Joe says, sound like snitch for a day, if you ask me. I have a lot of opinions on snitching, but that's another rant for another day. But yeah, first of all, just about everybody snitches. All of that super tough talk that all these guys talk, they all fold. Some of the most legendary and dangerous people of all time folded when they got arrested and got offered 25 years, a life without the possibility of parole. Those kind of comments, many a super criminal folded under that pressure. Only two people, us off the top of my head, that I could think of who didn't fold: John Gotti and Wayne Perry. Just about everybody else had to make a deal, man. People talk a lot of good talk and then they fold. Ansel Kennedy said, KP, my daughter asked me to keep my grandkids ages 5 and this weekend. CalGuard, take me away. I've never been around 5-year-olds too much, but I had a friend who had a 2-year-old a couple years back. Man, one 2-year-old little girl, shout out to my friend Elba. One 2-year-old little girl was a monster. I was afraid of her. Oh. Dear Mara Studio, I heard they found who was behind Heavy D's death. I thought he passed away from some kind of heart complication. I didn't know there was a conspiracy behind that. Imperial says, saw a salute the sample where Greg Nice says he was in the studio when BDP recorded The Bridge Is Over. I was today years old when I'm just hearing this. Yeah, a couple years back, I tried to get him to come on the show and tell that story. Um, we had talked about that, but he, whatever happened, it didn't work out. But I was trying to get him to come on here and tell you guys the story. Uh, like I said, I'm trying to get back into getting guests on the show again. It's very difficult to get guests on the show. There's a lot that goes into it. But Greg Nice was supposed to come on and tell that story. It's a pretty interesting story too. But he was with, he used to roll with Ultra. So he was with Said G. Said G was bringing the SP12, not 1200, SP12 to the studio so that they can work on this song. So they rode the train, not drove. Greg Nice and Said G jumped on the New York City subway and came to the studio to meet KRS and make The Bridge Is Over. Do you have footage of BDP performing at the Apollo back in '89? I had footage. I don't have it anymore. The only footage I have, because I was filming that day. As a matter of fact, on this channel, and for those that have the book, I talk about this performance. This is a very important day in my career. I talk about this performance, BDP at the Apollo in '89. I talk about it in my book. I go into great detail because there's a story behind it. I was filming on a camcorder some of that show, and but Chris had the original tape, but the tape that I had, I filmed some of EPMD. EPMD opened up for BDP that night. It was Redhead Kingpin, EPMD, BDP. And if you look on this channel a couple years back, I posted some footage of EPMD. It's a short, I believe, of EPMD dancing. No, EPMD performing So What You're Saying. It's the only footage of this, because it's my footage. And you could see Eric Sermon dancing his ass off, doing steps with the dancers. Shout out to Fendi, shout out to Bernard. And I have this footage. And I posted it on this channel. Not that many people saw it, but that footage is from that day. And I also have footage of DJ Scratch doing all of his tricks that night, which I wrote about in the book. And I sent that footage to Scratch. I never posted it because whatever Scratch is going to do with that footage is up to him, even though I am the owner of the footage, I guess. But I sent it to Scratch for him to do whatever he needs to do with it. It's him. And the last piece I have on this tape is backstage. My man Will, rest in peace. He was talking backstage with his boy. I cannot remember his boy's name now, but his boy got ended violently. I think his boy was a clothing designer, but he was also in the drug game. And somebody ran up on him in a car and put 11 in him. Not long after this footage. So I got this footage of this guy who was Will's man, and they're talking backstage, and I was filming them. And I have that footage. I might just post it, but it just for nostalgic purposes, like 15 seconds of my man Willie D. I might just put that up for GP, but yeah, that's the only footage I have. But I did film the BDP show because I was not the DJ at that point, but Chris has that footage. D Nizzy, KP, there's a list of the top 100 beats of all time. Kenny, what's your top 3? First of all, I hate all those lists. Most of these lists are stupid to me. And it's a matter of opinion. It's just somebody's opinion. But I look at more of a criteria of when I'm talking about the greatest beats of all time, you have to talk about, once again, and I know y'all hate when I say this on this channel, but there's game-changing moments in hip hop. So I look at certain tracks for being game-changing, meaning they're either part of a game-changing song or after this track, it changed the course of how music sounded, and how many people sampled this or used the track afterwards for other things. Other rappers sampled over it, other R&B singers sung on it. The track stands the test of time. So there's not that many tracks like that. There's tons of great tracks that everybody can like. That's your preference. But for me, I think Sucker MCs is in my top 3. Hip hop was never the same after that record. And for those that's old enough to remember what hip hop was like before and after Run DMC dropped, we talk about Run DMC a lot on this channel because I don't think they get mentioned enough. Um, Sucker MCs changed everything. That's in my top one. That's in my top 3. But it's a tough question because you look at a beat like, I don't know if this is in my top 3, but it could be. You look at a beat like The Message, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Not only did that track come out and that song, which I consider the greatest song of all time, not only did that song change the game, but everyone who has sampled that song after that went platinum. That was the biggest rap song of '83. Ice Cube sampled it again for Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself. And that was a platinum single. He remixed it. And then later on, just a couple years ago, what's this girl's name? Females are players too. Women are players too. I forgot the name of the girl. Coi Leray, I think. Sampled it again, and she went platinum again with the same beat. 3 different decades, the same beat. Every time the world hears it, they're like, that shit is incredible. The Message could be up there. I'm still in the 80s. I think there's a track, one of the biggest club records of all time, rock any club anywhere in the world, a beat with no words. For the first years of this beat had no words, and yet everyone knew the sound of it and it rips every club down. The 900 number by 45 King. No words. Have you ever been at a party when that beat came on and just mashed? And then DJ Cool finally jumped on that beat and said, "Let me clear my throat." And that was a gold single. So those right there, those 3 to me could be 3 of the great, not my favorites, but for what they did, those could be 3 of the greatest beats of all time. I thought the Benjamins beat was gigantic. For the 2000s, I think 50 Cent in the Club was monstrous. Still today, go shorty, it's your birthday, you could throw that on. Those are monster beats. I'm talking about worldwide smash beats, and that didn't sound like anything else when it came out. I could go on and on, but those are amongst my top. Eric B is president, because you got to understand when sampling came out, when Marley Marl started programming those drums, I think the first song that he did it on, used it, just the modern day sampling with the drums, was The Bridge by MC Shan. But I think the epitome of it was Eric B. as President. That beat was ridiculous, and so many people sampled that record. I mean, this is a question, Dean. We could go on for days with just this, but those are like my top, off the top of my head. Not my favorites, but what I think um, are the greatest beats of all time. KP, any Craig G stories? I have a great one. Epic fails. Go back on this channel. Epic fail. Isaiah, you need to go back on this channel all the way back to the beginning of my videos and just watch all of the videos. A lot of these things that you ask about, I have go into great detail. There's a Epic Fails Juice Crew on this channel. Just watch the Epic Fails series. There's an Epic Fails Juice Crew. Got a great Craig G story. Philly She said, definitely a dope community here amongst the KP regulars. Yeah, man. Because we got like tens of thousands of people at this point who are followers of the channel. Thank you. But the meat, the real meat of the Kenny Parker show is the people that come on the live every week. That is the real backbone of the channel. Wow, T. Dyson said, I saw on the law firm's site that Keefe D's lawyer was a personal injury specialist. Wow. Norman Radio says, from the not so white north, keep up your great work. Thank you. I've fallen super far behind now. Roderick Robinson says, I'm in the process of reading your book. Good read so far. Thank you so much. What chapter are you on? B-Boy Jones said, Roger, it gets better and better. Thank you, B-Boy Jones. I agree. That's what I'm trying to say. What chapter are you on? Because it gets crazier as you go along. CMC in the place to be. What up? Uh-oh, we got another chat I'm missing. Running my mouth. Vincent Ross, thank you so much. Any Digital Planet stories? Not really. I was cool with one of the members. There's Ladybug, Butterfly, Doodlebug. I think Doodlebug is the one with the dreads, the one that's in Flavor in Your Ear video. I think that's Doodlebug. He is the one that he used to hang out a lot. He used to be in the tunnel a lot. So I used to see Doodlebug all the time. He always spoke. Super cool. Believe it's Doodlebug. I think Butterfly is the leader. He's the one that did the beats. I think he's the leader of the group. I don't know him, never met him. I was in a room with Ladybug, Mecca, and I was gonna say hello, but she didn't look like she wanted to speak at all, so I just kept it moving. But no Diggable Planet stories at all. The internet is by far the greatest invention of my lifetime, Jack Swagger. Of your lifetime. The internet. Possibly of the past. So we're going to say in the past 50 years. And you realize, too, that mankind has had more advancements in the past 100 years than in the past 5,000 years before that. We had like 5,000 years of moving along at a pace. And then in the past 100, we just exploded. And now, conspiracy theorists would say a lot of the technology exploded after the Roswell incident, after the United States government made a deal with the Greys to exchange technology. Let's not put our tinfoil hats on, y'all, but I love that kind of stuff. But anyway, um, best invention is the sewer system by the Egyptians. They came up with toilets way back in the day. Well, Egyptians came up with a lot of things, which they got from the Sumerians, apparently. Where the Sumerians got everything from. Me and my brother was talking about this a few months ago. But the toilet, I don't know, because humans would have to use the bathroom regardless. And before toilets, you'd probably just dig a hole or it'd be an outhouse type situation, which would still work. Um, Toilets just made for more cleanliness. But I would still say there's other things over the sewer system. I mean, irrigation, the way we were able to manipulate water. There's a lot of things that's great. There's a lot of great inventions. Like I still say, I think the wheel is way up there. Thing is, you could put glasses. The ability to see better. Great. These are all great inventions, but we're talking about the greatest. China Doll, what up? The greatest. The light, electricity got to be up there with the top inventions. Electricity jump started a lot of things. Electricity accelerated humankind, I think, greatly. But even the ability to pass that information on, if Benjamin Franklin or whatever he did with electricity, and then Tesla and Thomas Edison, if it wasn't for the ability to have books and printing and be able to duplicate, other parts of the world would be decades late. Electricity is big. I would say that's a top 10. I'm gonna have to do a scroll down. DJ Green Hornet, what up? I'm super far behind. Madonna versus Mariah Carey would be a great versus. Kind of over versus, but that would be dope. Tret said on Naughty by Nature's Craziest, I'm hitting Jermaine in Atlanta because he owes me loot for that jump shit. I think he meant the style, the jumping around and the style of how they were moving and the way they were rapping. I don't know if it's that he wrote the rhymes, but he did say that. Not, I don't know. Gregory Nutt says Nas is the best invention ever. I don't know if Nas was invented, but shout out to Escobar. Escobar season has returned. MK Ultra. RICO Act changed the game. Longer sentences equals more snitching. Absolutely, RICO changed the game. The ability to charge multiple people as an organization instead of one person. So whatever the if they can prove you're in an organization, then whatever the organization did, everyone could be charged the same, even if you didn't do it. That's crazy. So if somebody else in your organization does an ending, you could be charged with that as well if you could be linked to this organization. You're correct, Ultra. The RICO Act is a game changer in law enforcement. What I think is the craziest thing is conspiracy. You don't even have to do a crime. You can just do acts in furtherance of a crime. All you have to do with two or more people, all you have to do is make a plan with another person and do one thing in furtherance of that crime. If you want to do a kidnapping, all you got to do is agree with somebody else that you want to do it. And all you got to do is go to the hardware store and buy duct tape. That's it. And you're charged with conspiracy. And in some states, you get the same amount of time as if you actually did it. So really, once you make a plan to do something, you might as well go ahead, because if you get caught even making a plan, you're in trouble. That's why Boogie got 10 years, right? Boogie never sold anything. He just hooked up two people. One guy looking for something, one guy had it. He was the middleman, got 10 years. That's how I understand it anyway. But yeah, RICO and conspiracy is crazy, bro. CD Rose says the BDP rant medallion is a great invention. It's right here. I haven't worn it in a while. Haven't had a rant in a while. Soap is an amazing invention. Yeah, as far as cleanliness and hygiene, absolutely. All this stuff goes back to Egypt, which goes back to the Sumerians. B-Ball says 2 and 3 are the worst. You mean um my list of greatest beats? Uh, KP, what was the big difference between the SP12 and SP1200? Well, my understanding is that the SP12, let me see if I can find. Hold on, y'all. You see, this is a floppy disk this is called rough. This is a floppy disk that stores information on the SP1200. Before the SP1200, the SP12 stored everything in the machine. So I guess once the machine ran out of storage, that was it. You were stuck. You either had to delete something or, that was the end. I'm not sure how it worked because I never had one. But then they updated it to where you can store everything onto floppy disks, which means as many floppy disks as you had is as much beats you can save. So that's one of the major updates that I know. I'm sure there's others, but that was the big one. Somebody like said G would know for sure. Um, I'm far behind, but I saw something I wanted to say. Tresh said Jermaine stole the jump jump routine from his show and made it a hit song. Well, a few people were doing the jump routine because BDP, once again, it's documented on the live album. We was making people jump in Europe in '89, but that's neither here nor there. But Trex and them was doing it too. House of Pain. I'm trying not to do a scroll down, but I'm about to. Is the chat frozen? Is it? Oh, thanks, B-Boy. Said KP sharing his footage with DJ Scratch and wanting nothing in return. Just another example of good character. Thank you. I mean, there's a picture in my book. I'm not going to say what it is, but there's a picture in my book of me that I had to pay a photographer who owned the rights to the picture, who I know, who I consider a friend. I had to pay for the right to use this picture of me. I always thought that was wrong. I see if it was a picture of somebody else I wanted to use. Photographers, that's the way they eat. And according to the law, if you take a picture, you own the image, which I think is whack. So I remember Nas posted a picture of him and Tupac. I think it was Tupac's birthday. And Nas, a few years back, and Nas posted a picture of him and Tupac on social media. Yo, happy birthday, Pac. And he posted a picture. The guy who took the picture sued Nas, saying that Nas is basically messing up his ability to make money off the picture by posting it. Nas is in the picture. I could see if there's somebody else using it other than Nas and Pac, but Nas is in the picture, bro. How you gonna sue me and you took a picture of me? And let me tell you this too, y'all. Back in the day, there's only a handful of people that was out and about taking all of the pictures, and everybody knew they were. You'd be in the club, you'd be in an event, and the guy would come along. Everybody gather together, take flicks. Sometimes they take flicks of you and they don't even ask you. And then they would sell the pictures to like Right On and Word Up magazine, Tiger Beat, whatever those magazines were, the source. They would sell the pictures of the rappers to these magazines and make money. But a lot of times, I didn't even ask you to take the picture. You just took the picture. And now you own the picture. I believe that Kim Kardashian went to court against a paparazzi for taking a picture of her and claiming ownership, and the courts ruled in favor of the paparazzi. So if you take a picture, even of a celebrity, of anyone, whoever took the picture owns the rights to that picture. And I remember was it VH1 or Netflix? Netflix was doing a documentary on hip hop, and they needed a picture of BDP, of KRS-One when he was a kid. Um, and there was a picture that's in my book of me and KRS as kids, and only two people have the picture, really one at that time. What happened was my mother gave Chris the pictures, the photo album, and he digitally copied it and gave me a whole sheet of the pictures. And so he had the actual photo album, then I had the duplicates, and then he lost the photo album, or it's in storage or something, and he didn't have access to it. So now I'm the only one who had access. So now Netflix says we need this picture, and we're willing to offer you X amount of dollars to use this, to license the picture for Netflix. Now for Netflix, I was like, yeah, I will gladly accept your money and I will let you license this picture, which I'm in possession of, which I'm in the picture. Now, when it comes to DJ Scratch, I own the footage of Scratch and the EPMD video that's on my channel. I own that footage because I took the footage. However, and so if somebody wants to use it, they have to ask my permission. However, I would never charge Scratch or try to hold him hostage over footage that I took of him. I didn't ask his permission. I just was like, this guy is freaking incredible. Let me record this. And I don't think there's that much footage of DJ Scratch from back when he first was down with EPMD. I got him doing his whole routine. It was crazy. He stopped the record with his foot. It was unbelievable. I have it. And I sent it to him. I will never charge DJ Scratch for that footage. Only thing I would ask is if a credit, filmed by Kenny Parker, that I would like. That's it. No money. He don't need no. There's no statute of limitations. He don't got to sign nothing. I'm sure if he used it for something, they would make a lawyer would want me to sign something saying that Scratch has the right to use it, which I would absolutely sign off on. I don't want any money, just a credit. But yeah, I think that's wrong for me to charge Scratch if he wanted to use the picture of himself. Now, VH1 called me up and says, "Yo, I heard you got this footage of DJ Scratch, and we need it for a documentary. Can we use it?" Now that's a different conversation. But I'm not a fan of that. MK Ultra says Above the Clouds by Premier is the best beat of all time. Now, see, I would argue, and I love that record, but I would argue that's not even the best DJ Premier beat of all time. See, it's just all subjective. Dance to the Drummer's Beat is an R&B record, a funk record, so I wouldn't count that. Come Clean from Primo, way up there. The Benjamins, that's what I said, is way up there. Wu-Tang Clan Cream, like, these are all just people's opinions. I mean, you asked me my favorites. I thought Deep Cover was ridiculous. When I first heard that, doom, 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 oh my God. There's so many. I thought the Bridges Over beat was incredible. Um, Rebel Without a Pause, Public Enemy. Oh my God. I could go on and on, but at the same time, like I said, certain beats have what they did as a track. This is how I look at music. I look at music, I guess, a little different than other people, but I have to look at what it did at the time and what it continued to do. Yeah, Shook Ones was voted the greatest beat of all time. Of all time? I guess. I guess. Yo, this is one of my top beats of all time. What's his name? Abe Ochoa. Knowledge Me, Ahmed, original concept. That beat was ridiculous. And I asked T Money a few months ago who did the track. I think he said him and Dr. Dre or somebody that doom, doom, da doom, doom, da doom, da 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 doom, doom. That's actually more because I consider that underground. Even though Master Ace took it and made Born to Roll about driving around in his car, most people don't really know that song. I think it's like a New York beat. I look at some beats that's like whenever somebody was going to freestyle, they about to freestyle and they pull out the beat. What beat are they pulling out? Them kind of beats, like East Flatbush Project, Tried by 12. Them beats was ridiculous back in the day. But that's how I look at music. Everybody looks at music different. It's just The Message was 82. Ye- Yeah, it was. I said it was the biggest record of 83. Yeah, it was the summer of 82. You are correct, Tybo. Damn. All right, Tybo trying to pull my chain. Philly She said influential and best can be mutually exclusive. Sucker MCs changed the course of hip hop, but as a beat, I can't act like a top 500 beat I ever heard. I respect that, Philly Sheet. For me, Sucker MCs was Jack Swagger said the 900 number. Like, to me, the 900 number, a beat with no words that ripped. That's the beat to the Ed Lover dance. Yeah, he took that beat and ran with it too. Shook One's up there. I think Shook One's is great, but for me, that's not way up there. It's great, but I don't know. Robert Charles says, you just lost your ever loving mind to the 900 number. Yeah. When that record used to come on, I used to be out and about a lot. Like I said, that record used to come on in the club. They just throw it out of nowhere. And the whole club would go to the roof. No words. How can that not be up there? This is a good one. Pharoah Monch, Simon Says. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. Ridiculous. Yes. Eric B. for president had every hood in a chokehold in 1986. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, man. I don't know. But it's just a matter of opinions, man. Joey Joe, this is a great list right here. Planet Rock, absolutely. I just think that Planet Rock was great in itself. It started the freestyle movement. Like Planet Rock influenced a whole different genre of music, not hip hop. But that absolutely could be up there. Top Billing could absolutely be. That beat was ridiculous. Mad people jumped on that beat and ate afterwards. Rapper's Delight to me is Good Times. So I would, I think Good Times, the song by Chic, is one of the most influential songs of all time. All time. And Rapper's Delight is an extension of that. But okay. These were great beats. 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on. That was great. It Takes Two was great. Yup. It's just a matter of opinions. These are all great beats. KP, was the 900 number with Lati out before the instrumental? No. The instrumental was out first and it blew up and then they threw vocals on it. But no one never really put, shout out to Lati, that's my man too. No one never really played the Lati version. They just played the beat without the words. The beat came first. Shout out to the great 45 King. Lindell Handy, what up? I'm about as far back as I've ever been on this channel. Yeah, China Doll. Top Billing Audio 2 was really banging. I heard that beat was done by accident, and I'm not sure who did it, because Milk said he did it, and Daddy-O said he did it. So, not sure. Sydney Rose says hot sauce is a great invention. Well, spices in general. Could you imagine what food tasted like before spices? They were just grabbing meat and just cooking it and eating it. Could you imagine the first person that came along with some salt and sprinkled it on there? They probably tackled them. Spices, great invention. Yeah, I'm with that. Spices made life better. I don't think it saved lives, but it made a lot of life. It made life a lot better. Electricity is ahead of the printing press and the internet. Well, the internet I consider recent. I think electricity is one of the greatest inventions of all time, but like I said, smarter people than me did a whole survey and they came up with the printing press, and I can see where they would get that from. But electricity could be right up there. You know what Spook Realm says? Electricity is not an invention. Electricity was harnessed. So there you go. You're right, um, Spook Realm. Uh, There's a lot of good comments here. Yeah, I can't really scroll down yet, but I'm so far behind. Keefe D's lawyer, Michael Sanift, took this case pro bono. Wow. Another previous defense attorney on the case, Robert Drazkovich, previously withdrew to issues of not getting paid. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Keefe D doesn't have any money. Oh, D8, thank you so much. The Treacherous Street Body Rock or Rocking It by the Fearless Four. That was a great beat. Do for that time. All right. I'm officially gonna scroll down because I'm too far behind, but um Miss Love says so 12 can't save. Yeah, the SP12 can't save. I think it can save. Either it couldn't save, you had to dump everything onto tape, or it could save in the machine, which is limited. So either it could save up to a certain point and then you were stuck, or it couldn't save at all. Like once you unplugged it, you lost everything. But once the floppy disk came, that changed it. Uh, My man's had a SP12, can't save on disk. Yeah. That's why I think the SP1200 had more memory. Not sure because I never had an SP12, but SP1200 was definitely one of the greatest hip hop inventions. But I'm partial to the MPC. Well, the MPC is a spin-off of the SP1200, which is a spin-off of the SP12. So it's really the SP12 changed the game. Hip hop as we know it after 86 is because of the SP12 and Marley Marl. Um, Definitely, mostly all of the big records of the 80s and 90s into the mid 90s were made off the SP1200. Not even just hip hop, but dance and everything that we're using that. Um, Crusher Blackwell says, how many tracks did you help produce on the Edutainment album? Did the album reach over 1 million copies? I had heard that Edutainment was close to platinum years ago, but I don't think it ever crossed over the threshold. I think I would have heard about that if it went platinum. I don't think it did, but it was up there. I didn't produce anything on Edutainment album. Only song I worked on was the Kenny Parker show. KRS produced all of that. I think D Nice did. D Nice did something. D Nice did a couple things, but Chris did most of that album. April 7th, KP, there are photos in your book? Yeah. Damn, I might have to make another purchase to get those photos. The audiobook is so dope, though. I may have to peep that. Thank you so much, April 7th. Yeah, there's photos in the book that give you a little more mental, a little more visual of what I'm talking about. Absolutely, there's photos in the book. Me and Chris is like little kids and different parts of our lives. There's pictures there. There's a picture of us and Joe in the book. Yeah. I'm not terribly behind. Mike Rock says, "Is this a rant? Which is a rant about the beats? Um, no, it's not a rant." Greg says Kenny got Nas back, but that's a rant. Put the beating people down here on. What did I say about Nas? What did I say? Nah, I don't remember. We love Nas on this channel, by the way. I've met Nas, like I said, a couple times. I don't know him. He's cool with my brother, but I don't know him. But I have nothing but the most tremendous respect for his craft. Uh, DA says, "Are you in the We In Here video with the X hat?" Yes, that's me. Omni Hassan, thank you so much. Never used FC1200 or MPC. I came in on the ASR 10 days, then started using Reason over Fruity Loops. Yeah, the ASR 10, these are all spin-offs and different versions and recreations of the SP12, in my opinion. Giving, updating and making it more user-friendly. SP1200 is not user-friendly at all to me. Very difficult machine to learn. But boy, did it make some great records. Great, 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 great records. But you know what? It don't matter what you use. It's how you use it. Mark Love, what up, man? Long time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, where am I? I'm right here. Uh, Grandmaster Flash coming out with his book next month. Another book? I had the original book. I let my friend hold it. That came out. I read Flash's book 2009 or 10. He has another book. That's dope. Shout out to the great Grandmaster Flash. Gangstar Mass Appeal is legendary. Yup. Um, oh, I missed a comment. Wait a minute. Manifest by Primo Knox. Yup. Patrick McLean. Wow. Oh shit, I just lost your comment. Here we go. Well, R.I.P. to my dear Aunt Lynn. Yes, sorry for your loss. Condolences. A very early amateur disco hip hop DJ and champion of DJ culture. Her record collection was my library as a child. Reading the jackets and listening was priceless. Yeah, remember when you listened to the album as you read along with the credits? Remember how dope that was? That's just a lost experience now. Hate to sound like that old guy, but it's a lost experience. Artwork, credits, holding it in your hand. It's yours. It's yours. Do you want it? Ilroy the MC, thank you so much. Poisonous Products beat is way up there for me. Great job with that, Kenny. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Um, I haven't heard that beat in a long time. Shout out to the young Kenny Parker. That track is, when did Sex and Violence come out? 92? Damn. Track is 38 years old, man. No, that's a lie. That track is 33 years old. 34. Um, I remember those days. KP Daytona 500 by Ghostface. Great track. Fear of a Black Planet, best sampling of any album all time. Actually, I thought It Takes a Nation of Millions had some great sampling. But yeah, the Bomb Squad sampling was incredible. Incredible. Aaron Logan says, Sucker MCs love rap. Rebel Without a Pause is my favorites, but it changes day to day. Me too. That's why I have to take my criteria and break it down to when you say the best ever, some beats did real damage in this game. Real tangible damage. It was like nothing we had ever heard before, type shit. And still to this day, is like nothing we heard before. That's why I put those certain beats up there. Yeah, this is a top 10 beat. DA, yep. They Reminisce Over You by Pete Rock. For me, that's a top 10 beat, especially in the 90s. That might be the first half of the 90s. That could be the dopest beat. They Reminisce Over You was a great beat. That was a great. I mean, there's many, but that era had so much great music, but that was a great track. Shout out to the great Pete Rock. That's a top 10 beat for me. Doc of Cincy, KP, you ever use an SP 2400? No, I never even heard of that till you just said it. Is that a machine or is it like a program? Wow. Mark Love, yo, KP, since you're an active DJ, when you gonna join me on Beat Miners Radio as a weekly DJ? Shout out to the Beat Miners. That's family. Those are my brothers. I don't know. Um, a weekly DJ. Wow. I don't know if I have weekly in me, but that would be dope to come up on there and do a set for sure. Uh, Shout out to Evil D and Mr. Walt. Evil D was a guest on this channel. Very informative. Um, that's interesting. Red One says KP Jungle Brothers, JB's coming through. One of my favorite records of all time. And I think that should have been the first single off of the second album. I think the fact that they did not make that the single cost that album the potential it could have been. I think the JB's coming through as a single with a video would have been gigantic in hip hop. But the record company, Warner Brothers, was chasing, they wanted another girl, I'll House You. And they were chasing that, which I think hurt them. Goody Mob Cell Therapy is a banger. Yep, I like that beat. JG said, KP, Knowledge Me was big in the UK. Backed by Can You Feel It? Yeah, who remembers Triple M bass, which used the same bass line? I don't remember that. But Knowledge Me was unbelievable. I could listen to that track even without the words. Matter of fact, I think I will do that when I get off of here. Um, I didn't know that was big in the UK, but I know in this area, but that's like an underground record because it didn't get a lot of play even in the mix shows. It would come on once in a while. I remember I found the vinyl for like $30 years later at A1 Records. Shout out to A1, and I bought it. I think I still have it too. Knowledge. I think that beat could come out right now and be banging. We got another Chizad. Omni Hassan, thank you so much. Um, Last week you told me you had some producer credits on the KRS Shaba record, The Jam. Would you love to know your contribution on that? Again, super dope beat to me. I did not. I said I was an uncredited producer. There's a whole story behind that. I'm a little salty about that. Let me tell the story. Um, the year was 1991. This is before we were working on sex and violence, even. This is before I even knew how to work the SP 1200. And I had already had a couple of experiences where I was in the studio working with friends on some music and didn't get credited on stuff that came out. I'm not going to mention it. Um, y'all about to make me put my BDP medallion on. I'm getting a little upset right now, but I'm going to tell this story. So at that time, I got to give y'all the whole backstory. Okay, this is after edutainment. The Heal Project was out. The live album was out. I was just I was the DJ for BD. This had to be like maybe 1990, end of 1990, because I was the DJ for BDP, but I was just starting to get into digging, and I was trying to just understand how to put records together, but I had never really put a record together yet. But I had worked on some stuff that I had technically put a record together looking at it, but I hadn't officially. Okay. KRS at that time was, we all know that BDP is really the main driving force between the fusion of hip hop and reggae. Um, a couple people did it before BDP. They weren't the first. We weren't the first. The Fat Boys had like a record, Run DMC, but they had like jokey records. BDP was the group that really brought dance hall into hip hop as we know it today on the Criminal Minded album. So Chris was like the guy who people were going to, reggae artists were gravitating towards him because they wanted to cross over into hip hop. So at that point, Chris was working with Shelly Thunder, Koof. He did an album with Sly and Robbie, the great Sly and Robbie. And he was working with some other reggae artists, and he did a remix for Ziggy Marley. Um, there's a whole story behind that. He did a remix with Ziggy Marley, One Bright Day, I think it's called. I was in the studio for that. I got to meet Ziggy Marley. So all of the reggae artists were coming to KRS to get this sound. So Shaba, who was at that point the hottest dancehall artist in the game, and probably the biggest reggae artist since Bob at that point. This is 90, 91. He was on fire, but he just signed to Sony to do his first major label release. So of course I forgot the lady's name. Black lady, she had dreads. Um, A&R lady made the connect, KRS and Shaba. Now, I've been around KRS-One of my whole life. I've seen him around dozens of artists, big platinum artists, Stevie Wonder, all the way down. I've never seen him more excited than I've seen him to work with Shaba. As KRS loves dancehall music, and Shaba was the dude. So I remember we were coming to the studio, and Chris sells, he's like, everybody come down. All the people that he was working with come down to the studio. Pal Joey, who did Love's Gonna Get You, who did Duck Down, 13 and Good. Um, he came. Um, Sidney Mills, who played the bass. He played the bass on Koof. I think he played on Telephone Love too. He came. I came. Chris was like, everybody come down to the studio. So we came to the studio, and Shaba came to the studio. And I remember it was like, okay, we're gonna put this beat together. We're making a beat from scratch for Shaba. Shaba's sitting there, his people are sitting there. This might have been the first time Chris and Shaba actually met, all there. So first thing Chris says is, Kenny, what you got? What you got in your bag? And I said, okay, Chris, I came over. I had a bag of breaks and stuff that I was digging. And I found, first thing I pulled out, I was like, I got this. Listen to this. and it was like a re-chop. It was an import record of a re-chop of um, Bob James, Mardi Gras. Chris listened to it, ding, 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 ding. He's like, I like that. Loop that up. So somebody looped it up. Then he said, Kenny, what else you got? I said, I got this other drum beat that I got over here on this other thing I was digging through. He said, all right, that's dope. Loop that up. So now I got 2 drum samples on this record. Then he goes, Kenny, what else you got? I said, I got this other sound. Listen to this. So he was listening and he's like, I like this horn stab. Bam, put that on there too. So now we got the foundation of the beat from Out of My Bag that Chris was asking me for. So now pal Joey is sitting there and he's going through some things and he's like, Chris, listen to this. He had this one sample that said, people. That's all it said, people. Chris was like, throw that in there. So now it's my beat that I didn't make, I gave to Chris, the drums and sounds. And pal Joey goes, people. That was it. And then Sidney Mills came and played the bass line over top of this beat. That was the whole track. Now Shaba's listening and he's like, I got it, I got it, I got it. And he goes in the studio. But he said, first, he had these 2 girls with him. I never forget. He said, I got to go in the room and just get the energy. I got to get the vibe. So Shaba goes into the vocal booth with these 2 girls. He's not doing anything with them, but they're just right there with him. And he's just like, he wasn't even talking. He's just like, they're just next to him. I don't know if it was like energy or something, but he's just vibing with these 2 girls next to him. And then he starts spitting. The rhymes that you hear on the record, the jam, he said it that day. And then there's spaces in there. So Chris comes in, jumps in there and does these rhymes. Not the rhymes that's on the record, some other rhymes. Everybody's like, oh, this is dope. Chris is Shaba, the beat. Everybody was like, yeah. Go away, come back. Chris changes the rhymes. So then he went and wrote to the song. So now he changed the rhymes he had. Shaba's part was done. Chris added his rhymes. The record was done. Put on the Shaba Ranks album. Album comes out. First single. I forgot the first single. Was it House Call? Yeah, I forgot what the first single was. Was it Max Priest and Shaba? I forgot what it was. Anyway, it was huge. First single was huge. Second single was big. The album goes gold, headed to platinum. They're about to drop the 3rd single. What is it going to be? This record, The Jam by Shaba. So now that when I'm looking at the credits, and it's produced by KRS-One. Sidney Mills played the bass. These are all the writers on the record. Sidney Mills, KRS-One, and Pal Joey. Now, Pal Joey, all he put in the record was people. So sound I went, people, that's it. So now I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, all of the music that's in this record outside the bass line is what I brought. But I was like not even a producer yet. I was just like little Kenny. So I didn't really get I didn't get any credit at all. Not special thanks, not nothing. So, but I understand like I gotta pay my dues. So I wasn't really tripping off of it, but I was just like, damn, if Pal Joey could get credit for going people, I should get credit for adding 3 or 4 different sounds to this record. So they make the video, and this guy, Bobby Simmons from Sonic, he remixes it. So he strips down the whole record. He put the bridges over in there. He put a new bass line in there. He rebuilt the record. The only thing that he kept from the original was the drums I put in there and the horn sound that I put in there. I meaning through Chris. He kept my two elements and got rid of everything else. The record comes out, goes to #1 Billboard rap singles charts, #1 rap song in the country, KRS and Shaba. And I'm sitting there like, damn, my DNA is on this record. Then the album comes out, gets nominated, and wins a Grammy. Best reggae album of the year. And all of the people that was writers, I don't know if they actually got a Grammy, but you maybe a certificate. If you produced on the album and it wins a Grammy, everybody who wrote on the album gets a certificate from the Grammys. So this is a Grammy-winning gold album from Shaba, his first gold album, and a #1 rap single. And I am looking back on it, I think I should have gotten some writers credit. I didn't produce the record. KRS produced the record. He's the one who organized everything that went on the record. And Sidney Mills played the bass. I wasn't there when he played the bass. I was there, but I didn't see. I wasn't in the room when he played the bass. But Pal Joey got writer's credit, and all he did was go, people, and I felt that that was wrong. I still feel like that's wrong. But I say all that to say, I should have had on my BDP rant medallion, because the more I think of it right now, had I got credit, that would have been a gigantic credit for me, and I would have been part of a Grammy-winning album. Instead, no one knows this story. This is the first time I'm ever telling this story in life, right now, today. And it's happened to me a few times in life until I started to understand, not through KRS, but just when I was young, helping out other people. I was really contributing to songs, and I should have gotten writer's credit, which is money, but I didn't, because I didn't know. Now I know. Um, that's an epic fail, and I took the L. But I took the L, but I took the learning experience, because I watched how the record got made. And all of this experience helped me when it was time for me to go in the studio by myself. I had all of these experiences of watching how records get made. But still, to answer a long-winded answer to your question, I am not credited on that record. #1 Grammy-winning album, but I should have been, to me. Thank you so much. Now I'm a little upset, Omni, but thank you so much. I have 103 comments since I made this story, and it's 9:33, so we are in overtime, y'all. For those that's new to the channel, anything after 9:30 is considered overtime. This is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. And if you don't have a shirt, we're selling the shirts. It's the same as the logo up there. The link is in the description below. All right, I'm going to scroll down now, because there's 100 comments that I now have missed. So if you left a comment in the past half hour, I'm just going to have to jump over your comment. Sorry. And I'm going to go down to the bottom. Now I'm still, there's a lot of good comments here, y'all. I would like to talk about it, but I'm gonna jump down. So what you're saying, EPMD was a great record, great beat. KP, what do you think about Strafe Set It Off beat? One of the greatest dance beats of all time. Um, Rosmel says, Kenny, you can make the same argument for so many albums with the wrong singles being released. I think the wrong singles destroyed so many albums that could have been way bigger. The wrong single was picked, and that's all it took for things not to work out. Uh, Lindell says, KP, I was pissed when I bought the original concept album and only about 10 seconds of Knowledge Me is on there. Word? Wow. Wow, that's whack. CMC, hey KP, on Heather B's album, what was the 54th Regiment that was being shouted out? That was her crew from Jersey. 54th Regiment. Many of them was in the studio while we were recording. Um, Please hit the like button when you guys get a chance. KP, did you ever see the movie New Jack City? A few times. Patrick McLean, we just thought you guys were Jamaican. Back then, your brother said my brother is a Rasta. Get the book, Patrick McLean. It'll explain a little bit more. Um, KP, would you say Masters of Ceremony, who came out in 85 with dance hall reggae influence? Yeah, but they didn't come out in 85 with that. In 86, I remember them from 86 with Cracked Out. And then they dropped the record with Don Barron, Masters of Ceremony. What's the name of that record? Shout out to Pooh. That came out right after The Bridge Is Over, but that was a big one too. I would say they definitely uh was an influence, but I think they came out a little after us because you also got to remember that the P is Free was a reggae record too. So there's a little after that. I forgot the name of that. Sexy. You know you're sexy. That was a dope record. Pal Joey was white. Yep. Pal Joey is the person who plays Rob in the Love's Gonna Get You video. The drug dealer Rob, that's Pal Joey. Omni Hassan says, people, oh, that's what that says. I never knew. Thank you for that great story. Thank you for asking. I'm a little pissed right now, but thinking about it. Oh, that's Sidney Mills' bass line, though, chunky. Well, which bass line are you talking about? Because there's the album version and there's the video version. The video version is not Sidney Mills. That's something different. Yes, Sidney Mills was a part of the Steel Pulse band, Legends. Yep. KP Shaba voice is hilarious. Thank you for people be hating on my Shaba impersonation. I think it's dope. We're in overtime, y'all. Yo, Kenny, you look like you're 8 feet taller than we in that video. Is that just a camera angle or are you Shaq status? Because you look taller than KRS, and I met him. He's tall. I am taller than KRS. JT says, Shaba, we your brother. Mr. Loverman. No, Mr. Loverman was before this album. Oh, I know Maxi Priest and Shaba was on this album, and that was a big record. There was another single too. I can't remember. Mr. Loverman was before that. House Call. Is that the one with Maxi Priest? Kenny, Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg beat was great. Yep. T. Tyson says, so KRS screwed you, Kenny. Figures. I wouldn't say he screwed me. I think I think at that time I was not looked at as a producer. I was looked at as the DJ, like little brother status. And I think had I said something, it would have been different. But I didn't say anything. I was just down there to help. I wouldn't say he screwed me because he did so much for me in my life. I mean, dude gave me an SP 1200 for free here. Every beat I did on Sex and Violence and all that is because he gave me the beat, gave me the turntables, gave me everything. So I look at it like me paying dues, but the way songs, plus that used to happen a lot back then, but the way songs are made, technically I contributed to that song and I should have been credited as a writer. I don't know what you mean by figures. Tybo said all he did was people. I'm just saying that was part of the record. Every piece counts. But if you look at who added what to that song, the original, not the video version, the original, all he added was people. And even the video version, nobody's parts got kept but mine. Brooklyn Geek, KP found out the hard way why people don't work with family too tough. See, I wouldn't say because y'all think it KRS is the same person who made the record The Kenny Parker Show the year before. I didn't produce that record. And for those that didn't get to see my Love's Gonna Get You breakdown on this channel, I have a whole breakdown of Love's Gonna Get You 12-inch single, which Kenny Parker shows on the back. You'll get to see how the Kenny Parker Show was even made. So to get a song like that called the Kenny Parker Show made for me, I can't say that in this instance was was a reflection of my whole relationship with Chris and BDP. It was just like that particular song, I felt I should have gotten credit that I didn't. But now the Kenny Parker Show, Chris didn't have to name it that. He didn't have to make that record. So I don't want people to get a misconception like back in 90, 91, that's how things are being done. But I just say I think it's wrong. Because I think if that was the case, then I think Pal Joey shouldn't have gotten credit. But he was a respected producer. He had already made hit records. So he was a respected producer. Sidney Mills was a world-class musician. KRS-One had produced multiple gold albums by this point. All these people in the room, and Chris's little brother, who had been the DJ for less than a year. So I think that's how they were looking at me. But in reality, I was just as important as everybody else on that record. Divine Existence says, damn, KP, I think you need to put on that BDP medallion after tell the jam story. You know what? I think I am. I'm going to put on the medallion. This is a post rant. This is a post rant. We're in overtime, y'all. Jason Wall said, let's go bum rush Shaba. I'm down. No, it wasn't Shaba. Even though, you know what, too? It was Shaba's record. Too, it wasn't a KRS record. It was Shaba's record. So that could have been in the mix, too. A&R people might have been like, you know what? We'll put these records down, but everybody else. Kenny Park, next time Shaba asks you where your brother, tell him he's right over there. Stick your head in the truck. Shaba next to my royalties. That's funny. Can they correct the producer credit retroactively? Well, you can in ASCAP. You can go back and fix things, but the money, there's no money now. The money was to be made when the record was out, and they're not going to fix it on the album. They're not going to change the artwork. They wouldn't have changed the artwork just for me. I mean, it was just a whack situation. Keem, have my shirt. Thank you so much. We're in OT, y'all. I got my rant medallion on. Omni says, sorry for taking KP's time, everyone, but I really appreciate that breakdown. Thank you. I've never told that story in life. This is a world premiere. World premiere. Um, DA says, I don't have any friends left. Wow. But this stream makes me feel like I do. Hands yellow, heart red. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you feel that way. We're a family here at the Kenny Parker Show, and this is what we try to do. Just have a positive conversation about whatever, hip hop, sports, whatever, and pass along information and love. Uh, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate we can, have a hour and a half to 2 hours in your life. I see you guys talking about Set It Off. That was a great. I got to meet Strafe. He's from New York, the guy who made that beat. So many people sampled that. Patrick McLean, I'm loving the audio book at the moment. Thank you so much, Patrick McLean. Is Heather B interested in doing new music? I don't know. She's so busy with radio, I don't know. This is a great question. Why is Big Daddy Kane performing with a live band? Nobody wants to hear that. Well, first of all, I don't know why Big Daddy Kane is performing with a live band. But to talk about hip hop live bands, I'm not a fan of live bands in hip hop at all. Zero. Unless you use the live band to originally make the record, like the Roots. I like the record to sound like the record when I come to the concert. If you use a drum machine, turntable sampling, I would like to hear that sound live. I think most bands cannot capture the essence of the record, and it sounds weird and it throws off the audience. And I think a lot of artists use the band to make it seem like they are musicians or take their show to another level or to show like a different side of them. But to me, it hurts. We at BDP, Chris is never into that. We've had live players once in a while play along with the record. Even that, we only did that sparingly. But I've seen Public Enemy with a live band. There's no way to me you could recreate the Bomb Squad with a band. I don't know. But it's a real thing right now. Um, I agree with you. I don't know why Kane using that. I have no idea. Wow, I used to say, first of all, is this D8 or DB? It's DB. I keep saying D8. Sorry, DB. I used to sing P is free to my wife and she would get super angry. I'm sure. Oh my God. Onyx Last Days beat is classic. Yes, it is. Great beat. City Rose says 71 likes on 103 in the building. Get them, Tracy gang. Stay slacking. Yeah, some people just don't hit the like button. This is cool. That's the record, Rod Justice. Trelalo, Trelalo. That was the first single, I think, was Trailer Load. And then the second single was Maxi Priest and Shaba. That one was huge. Then the third single was The Jam. I get mad when people say Ether is the best diss song ever. It's great, no doubt, but The Bridge is Over is forever number one. Well, there's been great diss songs. The Bridge is Over is the blueprint. It is the father of all diss records. It's the blueprint that everything after that game-changing song, everything after that comes from that record. But it's just people's opinion. Don't get mad, DB. It's people's opinions. You know, Matt Ism is the best beat. No, I love that beat. Premier told me last year, I think it was last year, that he was in the studio and Chris made that beat. I think I said this on this channel, Dartmouth. They were working on Return of the Boom Bap, and there was a little break from working with Premier. So Chris started working on a track, which ended up being Matt Ism. Preem said he was sitting right there. Chris made that beat. I think KRS doesn't get enough credit as a producer. Made some dope records. Spook Round. Let me say that I truly appreciate how every time you go in OT that you actually try to stretch it to 10 p.m. Eastern. You are why we stay dedicated to you, brother. Thank you so much. We first started doing the Kenny Parker shows from 8 to 9. And then we stretched it to 9:30. And now it seems like we just stretched it out to 10 o'clock. I might have to stop calling it overtime. Just say it is what it is. CMC in the place to be. Thank you, as usual. Earlier today, Pete Rock posted a throwback pic of CL holding frame, was the caption. AZ jumped in the comments wishing they reunite because hip hop need them. What you, KP? I would love to see them reunite. It breaks my heart to see groups that I respect and love not together. It broke my heart when PMD wasn't working together. Thankfully, they're back. Would love to see Pete Rock and CL Smooth give it one more go. They had great chemistry together, but it's so much bad blood. Just was reading about Tretch and Naughty. They've had multiple breakups, but Tretch is saying this is the official one. They will never get back together. That breaks my heart. Jungle Brothers without Sammy B. All of these things to me just hurt, man. As a fan. But for Pete Rock to post a picture with CL, that's big. Maybe there is something in the works. Definitely love to hear that. We're in OT, y'all. This is the Kenny Parker Show. Not that far behind. April 7th got the rant medallion on. KP, how people making comments about the relationship with you and your brother? Read the book. If they read the book, they would not be saying those comments. I agree. They don't really know the relationship between me and Chris, but it's okay. That's what the channel's for. But I wish everybody read the book because you would understand. If you understood how much Chris has done for me in my life, you would understand that him not including me even in that Grammy award winning album is a small thing compared to what he's done for me. And that's why I don't even really talk about it, because it's 35 years ago and it's a small thing, and it's not the worst thing that ever happened to me in this game. But I brought it up because, when the comment was brought up by Omni, it brought back that story. And whenever stories come back to me, I try to give it to you guys. And I do feel like it would have really helped my credibility, my career, everything, if I got credit on a Grammy award winning album. That would have been, because then I would have been a Grammy award winning producer or writer. I am not. Not that the Grammys mean anything, really, but it means something in your bio. And for a record to go number one, it would have been dope. But for those that read the book, there's no way I could ever in my life front on Chris. Ever. The fact that my name is DJ Kenny Parker is because of him. The fact that people even know my name is because of him. He taught me how to DJ. He taught me how to make records and gave me a $2,000 machine when there weren't even that many of them around. I mean, I could just go down the list. He made me his DJ after D Nice. He didn't have to do that. It's so much, but I got to tell a story the way I got to tell it. I got to keep it a buck. D8, DB. Why can't I see DB and it says D8 in my mind? Word up, Jay is still going strong after Ether. Like he said, I got stronger after Ether. But Bridges Over buried Shan forever. And that's also how, people talk about the greatest diss records of all time. There's a few great ones. But I got to look at what was the ramifications of the record after the fact. Some diss records destroyed people. And you have to weigh that differently. How I look at it, what happened after some diss records broke up whole groups and caused all kind of things. But it's just people's opinions. But at the end of the day, as long as you know that the Bridge is Over is the father of it all. KRS literally created a genre in hip hop just to get in the game. It was that hard to get in the game that he had to create his own genre just to get in. And he did it and pulled a bunch of people in. So people says every other week lately, KP rocks the medallion, and then next week he'll say it's been a while. That's funny. Next time Shaba says, "Where's your brother?" Say, "Where's my money?" um, KP, any golden era hip hop stories? What do you mean by golden era? Get the book. Get the audio book. Maybe you can listen to it and you hear there's plenty stories in there. Let's see. KP, in case you missed it, the SP12 used an external disk drive for saving beats. Thank you. I didn't know that. You had to plug it in the back of the SP12. Did it come with that? Or was that like something that you had to buy separately? But thank you for that bit of information, Divine. I did not know that. Like I said, I never had one. KP, do you remember old BDP ghetto music shirts in the video? Yeah, you mean the tie-dye ones? They were different colors. I wish I still had them. I had like 10 of them and gave them to friends and stuff. I wish I had all the BDP stuff that I used to have back in the day. I don't know. It's 10 o'clock, y'all. We in double OT. I'm gonna chill a little while longer because we just talking, but um, of course I remember the ghetto music shirts. Um, and I'm still, imagine, I'm still falling behind and we're in OT. The least trolls on the internet in this chat is great. Yeah, it is. I mean, every once in a while we'll get a couple. Um, and it's understandable. You get trolled. That's part of it. That's part of it. Unfortunately. 100% agree with you with the live band point. Thank you. That live band, I'm not a fan. Wu-Tang uses a live band, and for that I can't forgive. I can't even listen. I couldn't even listen to a RZA beat with a band. There's no way. I mean, I guess there's people that like that, and I guess it can show like the evolution of hip hop, and it can show like rappers can rap over real good because rap music gets a lot of heat for using just DJs and sampling, and they can't make real music. So I guess like rocking over a band gives you, can give hip hop more credibility. But I don't care what those people say. Hip hop is turntables, cutting and scratching, sampling. Um, that's just my opinion. Rob Justice. Another thing in hip hop that I am not a fan of is features. Features were cool back in the day when it was a surprise guest. Once in a while on an album, somebody jumped on and it really was special. Now there's more features. The actual artist is barely on the album compared to the features. And if you do an album without features, people are going to act like the album is incomplete. A lot of artists are hiding behind features. If they had to do an album with just them that captures the audience's attention for 12 songs, 10 songs, 12 songs, they couldn't do it. That's why when you asked me about the greatest of all time, I hold people in high regard that made albums with just them, mostly their voice, for a whole album. They carried a whole album and it was classic. And when you got to the end of the album, you was like, no, I need more. And then they did it again. And then they did it again. Those to me are the greatest of all time. Can you rock an album by yourself? I look at all of these things. Um, Let me jump down. We're in OT, y'all. Omni says the bridge is over, in my opinion, is better diss record than the overrated No Vaselines and Hit 'em Ups. I like both of those songs too. It's just opinion. I don't know if they're overrated. I mean, it's just opinions. I hear you though. No Vaseline, the most overrated diss record ever, using samples that a dozen others had already used. But it's still rock. It's the words. That record destroyed NWA. NWA was done after that. Let's see. DB, you got a lot of comments in here today. They sell BDP logo shirts online. Who gets the money from those? Well, if you get it from the BDP website, KRS does. Um, yeah, I believe his daughter is running. Shout out to my niece Time. She's running the site. Bobby W says KP finally saw Spider-Man. Wow, Spider-Man is now past 2 billion. I think it's now the biggest, highest grossing Marvel movie of all time. It passed Avengers Endgame. It's crazy. And what makes it crazy in this day and age where people aren't going to the movies anymore and the movie theaters are struggling, practically closing, a movie could come out and do 2 billion. That means it would have did like 10 years ago. April 7th. KP, do you know if KRS Ghost wrote for Miss Melody? I was listening to Live on Stage and it felt like a KRS cadence. I can't comment on that. I'm not. No, I mean, I said I'm not. I'm not going to comment on that. I was not there when the song was made. I was not in the studio. That's how I'm gonna slide out of that one. April 7th. If you listen to quite a few BDP members, you'll hear KRS's cadence. I will leave it at that. Rosmer Kenny, how do you feel about rapping over beatboxing? Love it. I was down with the beatbox. I'd like to hear beatbox real quick. Bring it back. B. Fred, what up? Oh, Divine, thank you. So KP, you had to buy the SP12 disk drive separately. Okay, that means without that disk drive, you had to use one of those old Commodore drives that use those big skinny floppy disks. So that was a separate accessory. So without that separate disk drive that wasn't part of the machine, you basically was very limited. Benny Doyle, Kenny, I can't trip you up on silence trivia, but I'll try one last time. What was the name of the inmate in the cell beside Hannibal? We said, no, wait, multiple MIGs. Multiple MIGs. Didn't we say that? Multiple MIGs in the cell next to Hannibal, and he talked him into swallowing his tongue, Hannibal Lecter, after he did that nasty deed to Clarice. Multiple MIGs. Talking about KRS One frowns upon using bands too. Yes. When we rock BDP, now he might use band like if he came on somebody else's set. We're in super duper quadruple duper overtime, y'all. Lottie Dottie, the greatest beatbox track of all time. That's one of the greatest vocal performances of all time, too. I will say yes. Brooklyn Geek says, and people bugging, No Vaseline is a top 3 or 4 disc records. Took out his own crew. Yeah, the beat, he used the beat that was used before, but the ramifications of No Vaseline is right up there. To each his own, man. Everybody has their own opinion. It's all good. Bebo Jones says KRS has many styles, so a lot of people were influenced. KRS had so many styles that people used. People don't really realize how much style. That's what I think was his biggest contribution to hip hop. The different styles that he either pioneered or helped establish in the game. Kenny, my questions are too easy. You're now 21-0. I loved Silence of the Lambs, man. By Good and 4T. Kenny, was you ever around your big brother KRS-One when he did a show out in Queens, New York City skating rink called USA Skating Rink when he almost got into it with MC Black Poet? I'll tell you a story about it. You want to hear it? Here it go. Me and my man Daryl, for those that got the book know what I'm talking about, went to that show. We were supposed to meet Chris probably 11 or something like that, but he's always notoriously late. It was so cold, and I remember I had on like some Air Force Ones, and I had on my coat, and I remember my jeans, and it was so much ice and snow on the ground. I was literally standing on a block of ice. I was standing on a block of ice. Outside, it was freezing, and we was waiting and waiting and waiting, and we just couldn't wait no longer. It was so cold that me and Daryl just bailed and we left. But we was outside of the Queens skating rink when Chris did that show. Now, this is when South Bronx was out. Now, I heard about it because later on, Will told me, the great Willie D, the BDP troublemaker, told me, he was like, yo, we came to Queens ridiculously deep because we knew that we was coming to Queens to sing South Bronx. It could be a problem. So BP Zulu Nation, led by Will, was ridiculously deep that night in the skating ring. I don't know what happened with Black Poet because I wasn't there, but thank goodness nothing seriously happened because it would have really been a situation because BDP was ridiculously deep. And when Will told me this, I believe him. um, so yeah, I was there, but I couldn't stay too long. It was just too cold. Robert Trowell, what up? Karis One has a new book called My Philosophy out. Yeah. It came out a couple months ago. It's him breaking down his philosophy about, we were just talking about Egypt and Sumerians, and he goes into a whole, it's more history. I was trying to grab a copy before I left Europe, but I forgot. I didn't get a chance to read it. But it was out since a couple months. I'm at the very bottom. By good said, I was right there at the USA skating rink, and I had to talk with your brother Chris on Don't Worry on QB while he was in front of his Afro Romeo. Oh, Afro Romero. um, yeah, that I heard. I don't know. I heard that the skating rink in Queens, they went crazy for South Bronx. It was a big record. Willie D the Enforcer. Yeah. Omni says, original way on Sex and Violence. Did you make that beat one of my favorite boom bap beats? Yes, I did. Thank you so much. Shout out to Bumpy, who's on that track. I produced a Bumpy Knuckles record. Uh, I'm at the bottom. It's 10:14. I'm gonna jump off in a second, y'all. We just out here talking. Uh, we just talking about different things. This is the Kenny Parker Show. Uh, DB said KRS is better than Rakim. A lot of people gravitate to Rod just because he was 5%. DB, there's no such thing as better or worse. It's just opinions. Music is subjective. What's dope to one person is whack to another. You might think KRS is better. There's plenty of people think Rakim is better. Some people think Kane is better than both of them. It's just opinions. Shout out to the God. Um, did you do Step Into a World beat? On this channel, go back, Bobby W. I do a whole breakdown of the Sex and Violence Step Into a World song. I did a whole breakdown of that song. You will find out. Tragedy said he threw a soda at KRS on stage that night. He swatted it off. I didn't hear that. I'm not going to say he's lying. I just don't know. I wasn't there. That would have been a real problem. That would have been a real problem because they came ready, man. When I say they came ready, y'all understand what I mean, right? They came ready. Jack Swagger says, I'm kind of happy there's a KRS and a Rakim. I was allowed to like both. Sorry that you had to make a choice. Yeah, that's how I look at it. I just like different people. I don't want to say who's better or I mean, everybody likes somebody better than somebody else. That's cool. But I'm just glad that I got to experience all of these people. All right, I'm going to jump off in a second, y'all. Um, I saw Bumpy Knuckles calling dudes out in the crowd at a BDP show. He's wild. I've seen that too. Bumpy is wild, yo. All right, I'm jumping off. Any more crazy club stories? So many. I might have to tell a crazy club story per episode. Like I said, I've been to, I would say, first of all, as the DJ of BDP in clubs DJing, I've probably done well over 1,000 shows with KRS. Probably like 12, 1,300 shows with KRS-One. Probably the most of any DJ he ever had, although my nephew Prime is catching up. Um, that's 1,000, that's well over 1,000 of me being in the club as the KRS DJ. Then me being in the club as a club DJ, I probably got like 2,000 nights of me being in the club as a club DJ. And then me coming in the club just to hang out as Kenny Parker, probably another 2,000. These are all separate times I'm in the party. So the amount of stories that I have are so ridiculous. Um, I don't even know what to say. All right, I'm jumping off. We are officially ending the night. God willing, I will see all you guys on Tuesday. Uh, and I keep saying I'm gonna do another for the win. I just haven't shot it yet. I said I was gonna shoot it this week, but I've been busy. I'm probably gonna shoot it over the weekend. I got a good story coming up. Um, and I got the BDP rant medallion on, and I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, y'all. Peace.